Don't bring up, yeah.
But okay, Bill, is the C11 coming on with us tonight?
Yeah, that would be funny, wouldn't it? I don't think it's OC11. I think it's DJI11. And I know John's coming in sometime. I was kind of hoping Ethan might come in. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, we know we have a hot mic. There's John.
Ethan put a nice video up today about HDR with the iPhone 12 Pro.
Yeah. Oh, cool. But no, OC11. I mean, DJI11 is not going to come in on with us tonight. He's gonna come in a different time. So we're gonna open up the show talking about some of the new stuff. New stuff. What new stuff? Is there new stuff out, really? There's new stuff?
Nothing I know about.
Oh, something new out.
Oh, nothing that you know about. Okay. Well, let's just see what happens when I hit this button. Hello, folks, and welcome to Drone Table 2. And basically what Drone Table is when there's a lot of crazy stuff going on in the drone community that we feel like needs to be really addressed. And tonight's emphasis is remote ID, because it's coming this month. And we're in December now. It's looming over our heads now. So it's going to come this month, and we're going to talk about it and how it might affect the FPV hobby, and how some people that are just now getting into the FPV hobby might be affected by it. And I'm going to throw it around the room and let everybody introduce themselves and tell everybody what they're up to. First off, I'm going to go to John Cuppi.
Thank you, Bill. It's been an interesting day today. As you know, we got a lot to talk about. Got some interesting stuff going on in the groups. Some of you in the chat might already know. It's been getting a little cold around here, so I've been whooping. I just put a new review of a whoop up on my channel if you guys want to go check that out after the show. And yeah, that's about it. It's heading into winter. Kind of sad for flying around here.
You have a whoop link that you didn't throw up?
Yeah, well, I can throw it in the chat, Bill. But I don't want to take it.
No, anybody that's on John's channel or checks out John's channel, please throw it into the channel for us and let us know that it's in there. And John's throwing it over to Ron.
I'll throw it over to Ron.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Drone Nation. We're going to have a good show for you. Kind of breaking information going on here that we can, interest you in. And we do have a big name guest coming on later in the show, so don't go anyplace tonight. And I do want to make a special announcement. I heard that there's kind of a drone spin-up down in southern Florida happened tomorrow involving Ray Kelly and Matt Cundiba and some other big names in the community. So we may want to keep an eye on that. So I'm going to throw it over to Bill and let him get the show rolling here.
Absolutely. I can't wait. I'm really glad to be a guest here on Drone Nation tonight, Ron.
Hey, baby. What's up? Okay, y'all can keep talking. Erica's here. Go ahead.
John, I see you posted a new video today with the beta. Help me out, beta.
The beta 85, the Whoop, yeah, the Whoop.
Yes.
But I think people want to hear about the DJI FPV. That's what
I think that beta may be more in my price range than the DJI product.
Yeah, it's supposed to be pretty expensive. Yeah, that's what I've heard.
We all woke up this morning about I don't know, like in the middle of the night for most of us. The C11 dropped 2 pictures of the new supposed DJI FPV drone. One was to the outside of the box, and one was a drone kind of sitting in the box. It looked like
exactly
you've never seen before, right, John?
Yeah, and I think it was Drone Pool who posted one of our groups, and that's where I got my news from. And I was like, oh my God, it's real! Like, this DJI FPV drone is real. And
we've been talking about this for a good part of the year now, and it seems kind of crazy timing to put something out in December because it looks like could even come before Christmas, even though. And I guess well, DJI dropped some other product like the Pocket or the Osmo Action right before Christmas, so this isn't unprecedented, John.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think they're going to release this before Christmas. I could be wrong, but that kind of goes with how I feel about who this FPV drone is really for.
That's a good question, John. Who is this drone for?
So here's my thought. I think this drone is made for two kinds of people. The first group of people, and there's the drone. There's a picture of it that we have allegedly.
Is that the one you've been under DNA on, John?
Oh yeah, that's the one I've been under DNA flying. Okay. Yeah, absolutely.
Folks, don't tell anybody, John, showing the pictures there.
And there's the box with the goggles.
Now, are those goggles exactly the goggles you have?
So it looks externally like they're the same, but we don't know if maybe internally they've been upgraded. And I could absolutely see that happening. Keep in mind when it comes to FPV, goggle molds don't tend to change much. Now, I mean, like Fat Shark has kept the same mold and just upgraded the internals over the past 5 or 6 years. So it would make sense for DJI to do the same thing if they have a design that they like and are comfortable with. So
makes sense.
It could be upgraded internals. What we do know, Ron, is that many retailers are reporting that they're unable to get stock of the DJI FPV goggles, quote unquote version 1. And I use that loosely because there is no version 2. But currently, the current version of the goggles, they're not able to pull more stock from DJI. So, very interesting. Does that mean that there's just goggles that are in short supply because of the pandemic or something? Or did the goggles get an upgrade and then they'll all be restocked under an entirely new SKU number and everything else? We don't know. But
both scenarios could be very likely.
Oh yeah, absolutely. The goggles are about 1.5 years old now, I think. So for a little bit of a refresh, it could be due for a refresh.
Would be a cause. Now that controller that they show in the picture there, John, in the shape of it looks very similar to the controller you purchased this summer, as far as the shape of it.
Yeah, it does. It's the Tango 2. It's that small form factor, but it's got the sticks where you can unscrew them, like on the Mavic Air 2. Definitely a DJI product, that's for sure.
Right, because I think just like drones are getting smaller, I guess controllers, people don't want the big bulky controllers anymore. But correct me if I'm wrong, the first controller for the DJI FPV system basically was like a Phantom Ford style looking controller. Is that correct?
That's 100%, Ron. It was basically the Phantom 4 controller mold. That's exactly what they used, and nothing wrong with it. It's just for someone like me, I don't really fly FPV with that thing. Marcus has a great question here. He's saying the DJI FPV drone was made for old guys like me, isn't it? This goes back to what I was going to say. Here's what I think that this drone is made for. A lot of you who aren't in the FPV groups are not seeing the, how do I put this? Oh man. Some people are just really, really crapping on this DJI drone in the FPV groups. Like, I'm not gonna name names. I'm just saying the members are really bitching. Like, this is junk. This is terrible. It's plastic. How is it gonna survive crashes? Also, and some of those are good points, but
right. This is a totally unexpected reaction, correct, John?
It wasn't totally unexpected. No, actually, yeah, it wasn't totally unexpected. But I think some of these people in these, what I'll call, hardcore FPV groups, hardcore hobbyists, they're not realizing that I don't think this product was made for them. And Ron, we talked about this between you, me, and Bill. We've talked about this on the show, that when DJI was going to put this drone out, it was not going to be a replacement for the hardcore FPV community who builds their own drones and goes freestyle and does bando bashing. That's not what this was supposed to be. This is something for somebody who's a camera guy who just wants to get pictures and video. And they take a video or they look at a video by a Rotor Riot or NERC or something, and they go, wow, I want to do cinematic FPV. Now they can go to DJI and they can say, oh, DJI's got a drone already built and a complete package that I can buy and actually get up in the air, not worry about a computer, not worry about putting together the parts or anything. It's just all there from DJI, and DJI is going to take care of me if I have any problems.
So in other words,
what that's for.
So in other words, if for people want to get into FPV, but they don't want to get their hands dirty, building and configuring and all that stuff, yeah. So what they're basically with DJI doing here, they're not stealing anybody from the hardcore FPV market. They're actually bringing people to the FPV market that were never there before. So they're actually creating new business in the FPV market. Essentially, I mean, I know they'll get some people that come over from the build, not really people switching from building your own. People will build your own and have this also. But I think they're good, like you said, they're going to pull in people that would have never bought the traditional FPV drones we know it now. So they're actually increasing the FPV market rather than diluting it, we think.
Exactly. I do not see this new FPV drone as DJI trying to come into our sector and knock out, maybe some of the smaller companies that are producing frames or making electronics. This is catering to a section of the market that really wasn't being addressed, and it's going to bring new people into FPV. Now, whether that's a good or a bad thing, that is totally up in the air. But it remains to be seen, what are the capabilities, what are the true capabilities of this drone. We do have some rumored specs. 2-axis gimbal, I read somewhere, 4K at 60 camera. Now those are pretty big deals, Ron, because to get HD video and FPV, what we have to do is we got to run a GoPro, we got to run the Osmo Action. We can't get that kind of HD video right from what's on board on the craft.
So let me clarify this here. So instead of running 2 cameras on your drone, you'll only be running the built-in camera to get everything you need.
In theory, or maybe there's a secondary camera on board that we haven't been able to discern from the pictures that does your FPV, and it's also got the HD cam there. I wouldn't be surprised if that's what they were doing. I haven't been able to see that though. But basically, instead of having to deal with a GoPro or anything, DJI is just selling you this complete solution. They're saying, here, go out and do smooth cinematography. Don't worry about buying a GoPro. It's all here. And I was talking to somebody earlier.
I'll cut you off a second. They've been down that road before. The Phantom 1 and most of the Phantom 2 models were out of the GoPro. So they've been down this road before. Exactly,
Ron. That's a great point. I've heard some people say, oh, you're never going to take the GoPro out of FPV. They're never going to be able to take the GoPro out of FPV. Depends on what someone's needs are. And we saw the GoPro get taken out of the camera birds because, like what you just said, Ron, the GoPro was the de facto camera to run on your Phantom 1, and even all these other off brands like Bayang Toys, the X60. Yep. You ran the GoPro or you ran an action camera. Now you're nuts if you put an action camera on a camera bird. You just don't need it.
Right.
This is a great question.
We couldn't wait when we had to put those GoPros on our older drones. We couldn't wait to get rid of the fisheye look from all our video.
That's true, yeah, because you don't really want that fisheye look for a stabilized camera bird. But that was a great question by Indigo Rhino there, because now Bill's going through all the questions here. Is it going to have acro mode? I absolutely believe it's going to have acro mode. If it didn't have it, that would be a really dumb decision. I think it would be a really dumb decision if it didn't have acro mode. This is going to be set up so that somebody and it's going to be interesting too to me to see how they handle these new camera guys who are going to be buying this thing for the first time and they don't, have any acro experience. I'm really wondering how that's going to go or how they plan to ease someone from that category into this product. That I'm really eager to see.
That's a good point, John, because some people that they've never flown anything but like a Mavic or a Phantom in their whole lives. They never even started out in toy drones like we did that had no GPS or no altitude holder or anything. So you're right. So they're going to have to somehow transition these people. They can't just put them right flying a mapping type drone right into an acro drone without any bridge.
Absolutely.
Is that the right word?
Yeah, and it's going to be interesting to see the transition or what DJI does with this drone to help these guys go from one to the other, because it's going to happen, and they know it's going to happen. A lot of people think, I feel, that DJI doesn't think about all these things that are brought up in the groups. They've thought of it. They're really, really strong in research and development, and they've thought of all the stuff that people are bringing up in the groups. So it's going to be interesting to see, if they see what they did for it.
Hey, John, can I address a question? I saw this a lot today in various groups and chats. People look at the drone and they don't feel it's built well enough to withstand any crashing. Is that anything by just looking at it? Can you address that at all, whether it would be able to stay? Because you said this before. I want to get this clue right. If you're not crashing, you're not flying in the FPV field.
Yeah, Ron, I say that as somebody who enjoys freestyle. We go out, we fly the flippity floppities, we do all these crazy moves for the adrenaline rush. When you are shooting cinematics, you're trying not to crash, right? You're not really crashing. You're doing more smooth. It's a smooth kind of freestyle.
Yeah, you're just kind of hanging high above the trees, so you're not going to crash.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, that's one way of looking at it. So here's my thoughts on it. Until I get it in my hands, obviously I'm not going to know if the plastic is going to hold up. We don't know how tough that is. The only thing I've ever used is the cheap plastic that we've seen on some of these quads and carbon fiber. We know carbon fiber holds up pretty well, but it's really hard to say. It's really hard to say how durable this thing is going to be. But again, this goes back to me saying, do you think DJI thought about it? Yes, I'm sure they did. And if I had to bet, I think that plastic is a lot stronger, and the entire build is probably a lot stronger than people give it credit for. Do I think it's
modular, man?
Do I think modular? And it's modular. I think it's modular because, and this is for the second group of people that I think this drone is for. I really think that small and medium size film production biz is going to be all over buying one of these things for their equipment tool set. They may already have a contract with DJI for their birds, and what's adding one of these really going to be for some of them. And on set, you want to be able to fix this stuff if it breaks, and you don't want to possibly have to deal with retuning anything. You just want to be able to get the parts or have the parts in stock from DJI to swap out right then and there. And there's going to be, I'm sure it's going to be pretty easy to service on site, because even though it's not necessarily meant to be a basher, because it has acro, there's the possibility of it crashing much higher than the GPS birds. And this off-the-shelf solution for businesses, they don't care that the parts are proprietary. Like all these people are like, oh, you can only get motors and parts with DJI. The businesses don't care about that. The cinematographers who just want to get the shot, they don't care about those things. They just want something that works, and they're going to take it and replace it with parts that work. And the thing is probably going to be smart to know if the part that was put in is up to snuff and all working. I mean, this thing is just going to be one all nice unit working in harmony, and it's not going to be. It's not going to be hobby grade per se. And that's why I really think this is not for hobbyists. This is not aimed at your average hardcore FPV hobbyist. This is for the cinematographer, the small and medium sized production biz that sees this FPV stuff that's going on and says, we want a piece of that. We want to have an FPV scene in our movie. Maybe following a car, maybe diving a bridge, a quick shot like that. This drone will allow them to do that.
Hey, John, in reference to the crashing and stuff, some people speculated on one of the pictures when they zoomed in close on it this morning that Lucila posted that they thought they saw obstacle avoidance sensors on the front of it. Could you see this drone? I mean, this is unheard of, right? Any FPV drone ever having any type of obstacle avoidance sensors. Do you think this could be true?
It's an FPV Scottio.
So here's why I really don't think that it has obstacle avoidance sensors unless they figured something out. They still don't have the obstacle avoidance sensors working when you're in sport mode, right? On the Mavics.
Correct. Because
it needs to maintain a certain speed for it to work.
Correct.
I just don't think if they don't have it working on the sport modes for the Mavics, then I really don't see us seeing that here.
The only thing I can say is, John, maybe they made a breakthrough, and it will be the sport modes from here on out on the camera birds. This may have been the breakthrough.
It's possible.
Because you know it's coming someday on the camera birds, even though it's not happening now in sport mode. It will be coming.
Yeah, Lauren Dyer, I guess, thinks it does have obstacle avoidance. I don't. I'm gonna bet on it not having it. Could be wrong, but that's just my gut feeling.
I think it's like I said. I think it's the full blown. Just like and I thought it was going to be smaller, and until you've steered me right, John, I thought the ducks were important. That was the kind of cinematic FPV drone I was envisioning, but it's complete fanboy FPV with training wheels.
Actually, I take that back. Maybe they could be obstacle avoidance, but not for what we think. I've been wondering if possibly. You know how you can plan a flight route with your GPS drones? I've wondered if they're going to make it possible to plan a route or plan a dive or plan something like that with this drone, and then maybe it would make sense there. Maybe it would make sense to have that, right? Wouldn't that be cool? I mean,
waypoints for an FPV drone. Wow.
Waypoints for an FPV drop, yeah, or something like that. I know it sounds crazy.
Pretty radical on us here.
It is kind of a radical thought, right? But imagine if you could send it out on a little waypoint power loop or something like that. This could just be me dreaming here, but.
All right, now. So the thing about it is we spend like bazillions of shows like this, speculating. And I just want to say hi to everybody. You're not going to believe this, but my power cord to my router jiggled loose. I think my wife was decorating for Christmas and kind of put some pictures and stuff and moved it around, and it kind of worked its way loose. And like right then it had finally came loose and everything. So I had to reboot the modem and everything and finally got back on. Yes. Thank you, Marcus. I like my hat too. If you pester Scottio long enough asking if you can get a hat or a t-shirt, and they say, we don't sell merchandise. And then finally they just send you a little goodie bag. So. But I got these cool little, I don't have any idea what I would use these for because they're like clear. I put one on my case, but all you can see is the S because my case is black. So anyway, so do I personally want it? Yes. Do I think it's worth $1,300 to $1,500? Yes. Is it everything that John says and more? Yes. So I guess just to catch everybody up on what happened to me, where I went, what was going on. But we spend so much time speculating. I spend so much, and I get wound up just like I did with the Mavic and everything. So I'm gonna go get another energy drink. Let's wind up the speculative talk. And then let's bring in our special guest, and we'll talk about remote. We'll talk about remote ID, and I want to see what everybody's opinion is on what remote ID is going to do to FPV. So let me shoot him a link, and you all take it from there.
Let's start with Michael Wrights, or let's go up through the chat here. Sam Burns had asked a question to us. He was asking, "Do you think it'll have beta flight?" You guys will probably. What do you guys think? Do you think it'll have beta flight? The DJI drone?
No. It'll have something. It'll have something.
Hell no.
It'll have something DJI.
No, DJI flight.
It's going to be something.
Yeah, exactly.
Something.
Exactly. It'll have. It's going to be something completely different. This, like I said, this drone is going to be a totally, totally, from the software to the hardware, it's not going to be anything open source, not at all, and that's gonna appeal to a certain market they're looking for. Let's see. I've been ignoring the chat way too much here. I want to catch up.
I'll see. This is a really good question in there.
Really great question from Michael Wright here. Will it have a DSP?
Yeah, Mike.
DJI has stated previously that all future drones over 250 grams will have it. This is a really good question, and I have been asking a similar question to all the groups, and really it's a 50-50 split as to whether this thing is going to have that kind of thing in it, or is it even going to stop you from taking off while flying? Is it going to be integrated with the geo system, or are they going to let people do what they want to do? I don't know how integrated this thing is going to be. What do you guys think? Do you guys think that with this FPV drone, they're going to let people decide on their own what they want to do with it? If they want to launch in an area, they don't need to pass the DJI
flight restrictions and whatever.
Yeah.
That is an excellent question, John.
Or do you think this thing is going to be locked down?
If you have an FPV drone, if you don't have a DJI drone, I meant to say, it will not let you take off in certain restricted areas. Sometimes it's overly aggressive. Even an area where you could take off, it won't let you take off. So that is the $1 million question. Will this FPV drone have that same restriction?
And if it doesn't, Ron, it's going to be really bad for DJI, I feel, because a number of people will be turned, even a number of professionals be turned off of buying it, because I talk to people who do this stuff professionally. You know what they always tell me, Ron? They always tell me, I love my DJI drones, but anywhere I go to do a shoot for real estate or whatever, I have to bring an Autel Evo, or I have to bring another drone as a backup in case my DJI drones won't take off. If this FPV drone is going to be thrown into the same situation, that's going to be a real downer. So I sure hope that they don't put the same kind of restrictions on it.
And I don't have a feeling one way or the other in this, John. I really don't. I mean, I'm lucky. I live in Jersey. Sure, I don't have. I almost every place I go is Class G, so I don't run into the flight restrictions like the situations you're talking about here. And I don't even fly in cities or any place that's crowded. But all the rural areas I go to, I'm totally unrestricted. So it's not something I come up against. But I don't have a gut feeling either way, John, whether it will be included in this new FPV drone or it won't. But that will be something that's going to interest a lot of people, John.
Well, I mean, the thing is, it's your situation is great, but like where you run into problems is, like I said, when you go outside of your normal flying places, or you go outside of your area, and suddenly, for whatever reason, DJI says, you can't fly. When the FAA actually says, yeah, you can fly. I am actually stuck. This is a great thing to bring up. Like my Mavic Air 2, I love my Mavic Air 2, but my Mavic Air 2, because of a bow tie, arbitrarily has this, I forget what it is, 50 or 60 meter cap or something like that on me, that I can't fly higher than that, which is ridiculous, because in that flight area, I can get authorization from LANC for 400 feet. But DJI is telling me, you're in the boat, you're in our bow tie, you can't go higher than that. It pisses me off, because that's DJI saying that, not the FAA saying that. And not only that, their bow tie actually crosses into Class G airspace. So
Jesus. All right. We're
I'm mad at Geo, Bill. I really hate the Geo system.
See, we've already here's the thing. I don't want to talk about that drone anymore until one of us buys it, or somebody that we know buys it. Okay?
I'm strongly looking at buying one. Yeah.
Everybody, okay, that's me too.
Strongly.
Okay, but me too. But I don't want to talk about it anymore until we actually have it. Okay, promise me. I don't want to talk about it anymore, because I'm tired of it. We speculate for weeks and weeks and weeks, and now we'll do it for 2 or 3 months. And then
Bill, you love speculation. I don't know why you're trying to put a cap on this.
Because I don't want to talk about it anymore, because we've got a special guest.
Oh, okay.
And I don't want to
understand.
keep stepping on everybody's toes, and I don't want to talk about something that we're all going to be seeing on every drone show for the next 6 months,
Oh,
or
okay.
until it comes out. So let's
Gotcha.
talk about. Let's get him in here. Remember, he was talking. He wanted to come back because he was working on FPP and stuff, and you all were going to talk about that and what all he was building and everything. So
I thought you were almost about to say he was working on the FBI for a second there.
FPV. Remember the stuff he got from what is it? Get FPV.
Yes, the goggles, the air units. He got the complete
All right.
bundle.
So without further ado, ladies and gentlemen.
Check. The grills in my mouth, double as a freeze. The grills in my mouth, double as a freeze. The grills in my mouth, double as a freeze. The grills in my mouth, double as a.
I
B
love
to the
it.
K. We're gonna have it our way with Billy Kyle.
I love it. Hey, I'll tell you what.
Go ahead.
I'll tell you what. I didn't expect my video to look this good. It doesn't look that bad.
It does. It looks fantastic.
Are we on your phone again?
No.
Thank God.
Oh God, that was such a nightmare.
That was hilarious, though. And you need
Yeah,
to
it was a
have to get your
nightmare.
new computer the next day.
Yeah, and you know what? I ended up taking my old computer to the Apple store and they fixed it. And so I didn't really need to go and buy a new computer, but regardless, with everything that's wrong with my old computer, it tallied up to like $2,200 in fixes. New keyboard, new display, new battery, everything needs to get replaced on that computer. I've got it covered under insurance, so I'm going to get it covered and I'm just going to use it. And I thankfully have a level of insurance through State Farm, their personal article policy, where it never loses value. So I bought that computer for $4,500 about 3 years ago, and it still works great. But once it kicks the bucket, they'll reimburse me. So it feels good.
Well, that's
Nice.
very cool. I'm just showing off for if you harass Scotty long enough, they'll send you.
Oh yeah, you know what? They said they were going to send me some merch, and I never got it.
Oh, sorry, but yeah, I just pestered the hell out of it. I pestered the hell out of it. They I was kind of cool.
I guess they sent the merch to Bill, man. He got the last bit of it.
I guess they accidentally put Bill Thomas instead of Billy Kyle.
There you go. Yeah, and they
Well,
sent it
honestly,
from,
though,
like,
Bill
same
does
guy.
bug the crap out of them. So I mean, he
Who don't I
constantly
bother?
Yeah, exactly.
what?
He bugs the crap out of everybody.
I haven't flown my Skydio recently. It's really just been Mavic Air 2. That drone, ever since it came out, is just so good that whenever I'm flying, no matter what I'm flying, it's usually that because I'm just not disappointed by the photos or videos. And you know what? Like I know that like I'm guilty of this too. I know we're talking about FPV, but I want to mention this. I know I'm guilty of this too. Like it's like, oh, the Mavic Mini is such a great portable travel drone. But like, how much more portable do you want than the Mavic 2 Pro?
Thank you for saying that because
like,
I've been thinking the same thing, Billy.
Like think about like the size difference. It's just so incrementally smaller that like maybe it's for that specific person where they're like, yeah, I literally only have that much room in my backpack, which is great. But after you add the batteries, the charger, the remote controller, you're taking up a good amount of room inside of your backpack. So it's like at that point in time, why if you've got the Mavic 2 Pro, would you buy the Mini for like a travel drone? It's just like they're all portable, you know?
Yeah, or why would your wife, you have the Mavic Air 2, would you buy the Mini? I feel like the only reason that I would do it is because of maybe this remote ID stuff, which...
it's true. I get a lot of people asking me, like they DM me and they say, hey, I've got the Mavic 2 Zoom. Should I get the Mavic Air 2? And I'm like, probably not, you know? Like what, do you want like a drone that's like, 70% the size? It's not like it's that much of a crazy difference. So, I was going to make a video kind of poking at people. I mean, I'm the one to talk. I've got like 20 million drones, but, I was going to make a video titled Drone Acquisition Syndrome because it's just like people think that, with these drones, they've got to keep upgrading them when like, you could still be getting by with the original Mavic Pro. It's 4 years old.
Marcus is pointing out the 249 gram issue with the impending remote ID specification.
Yeah, look, here's the thing is that I haven't done as much research as I probably should have on remote ID and all these changes coming. But I just hope that, if they're going to be tracking us, if they're going to be understanding where we're flying, they make it easy for us to to get waivers and whatnot, right? I mean, just imagine like through the application, through an FAA app, on demand, applications for being able to fly over 400 feet or 300 feet, whatever it's going to be, being able to fly beyond visual line of sight. I mean, you can apply for them right there and get clearance right away. I mean, if they give us something in return for this, then I'm okay. But I haven't done as much research on it as I wanted to. Now, in regards to FPV, I told you guys I was going to have my drone built, and I don't have it built. But my buddy Bruce Sullivan, I don't know if you guys know him, has lent me this little guy, and I've been banging around with it. So I don't know what it's called. It does have that,
John?
What is it, John?
Oh my goodness, that's the Trans-Tech Beetle. That's
yeah,
what
Beetle,
that is.
Beetle something.
Is that the Beetle? Is that the 2? It looks like the 2. I think it is.
I couldn't tell you. It's got the DJI Air unit in there. So I've just been hooking up the DJI goggles and the DJI remote to it. And I just bang around with this thing, and it's fun. I love it. But the one thing I can't get when I'm flying like an FPV drone is like, I throttle up and I go up and I'm like, yeah, this is great. I'm up above the trees and I'm up at like, whatever, how many, 300, 400 feet. And I'm like, how do I get down now? Like, how do I come down? Because I'm used to like, all right, left stick, just bring it down, just fly down and go over the trees. But then once I kill the stick, my drone flies slower. So I've been talking to Ken, and it's just kind of a mixture of mixing and using the throttle and the pitch to try to get that nice fast movement. And it's a learning curve. It's such a learning curve. I haven't used a simulator. I'm one that I feel like I get more experience just getting out there and flying. But with the days getting shorter, I kind of just want to get some nighttime flight simulator time in.
Yeah, I totally understand that. So Billy, the way to go down is you gotta do that split S. You gotta do that flip and go down like that. You just gotta dive. You just gotta dive. That's it.
So I have done that, and then I've been able to pull myself up from the dive. But then as soon as I pull myself up, I feel like I'm just going right back up to that altitude.
Yeah. No, I totally understand that. Thinking back to when I first started to learn how to fly acro, I remember that was a weird. It was a weird transition from flying the camera stuff only. Even though I'd flown line of sight before with unstabilized stuff, it's still different flying FPV. And when you do your first dive, it's like, oof.
Yeah.
So
it's a ton of fun. It's really like adrenaline pumping, but I feel like I just got to get over the hump, because I'm just like, I'm flying on the golf course behind my house. Nobody's golfing back there, so it's perfect. I'm driving around doing shoots all day, and I've got it with me so that, if I find an open park and I got some time, I just pull over and I bang out a pack or two. And it's just about getting used to it, so that, in a couple of months or a couple of weeks, when I finally have it down, I can put it to use and I can get really good footage,
Right, exactly. You right now it's a very new thing for you, and you're like, ooh, so you got all that adrenaline rushing.
I can't go and mount something on the top of this. So I'm basically just working with the camera that's built in. But I've got a lot of the parts here that I need to build this quad. I bought it off of Joshua Bardwell's video, and I think I have everything. In fact, what I gotta do is lay out everything, and John, send you a picture and say, do I need anything else to build this? I'd be happy
to help you, man. Look over that. Absolutely.
You've already been such a huge help. With
really appreciate
with buying it, and I got the foam around the goggles for the DJI goggles, but that little nose piece is tough to put on.
Yeah, and you know what? To tell you the truth, I don't even have the nose piece in mine, because I guess my nose, I just ended up not needing it.
Okay.
I ended up not needing it. But isn't the foam better? Yeah,
it's so much better. It's like the first one was like almost like leather. It was really weird. I almost wish that they just shipped it with this new foam,
Yeah, they should have done that from the start. And that's why I'm thinking that, well, I guess it depends on what happens. But yeah, hopefully they do ship it with the new foam.
I'm still trying to figure out, when I do my build, what action camera I want to use. So what action cameras have you guys found that you've had like the most luck with?
Listen, I have the Osmo Action, but I gotta tell you, I feel like with the Rocksteady on it, it just takes weird video. I've heard the same thing. It's not the best. Yeah, it's really not. I don't like it. If I'm gonna shoot with the Osmo Action, I'll just shoot with whatever's there, and then you get the shakes, and it sucks. So GoPro, they've got the Super View, they've got a much better stabilization software. It's more mature. DJI is a little behind in the action camera world. They honestly are.
I mean, and here's the thing.
Go ahead.
All of these DJI products, when they come out, they're so like revolutionary. And I feel like that was the one where it's just like, the Osmo Action was just like, we've already seen this. And I think they're due for an update on that thing. I mean, it's been like 2 years. It's
been a while. Yeah, they definitely need to get it updated.
And Ethan what's the 3D camera, the new one? The whatever.
Insta360.
Insta360.
X2.
Well,
and because Ethan likes doing the 360 stuff on the FPV camera.
So what's funny is Ken was showing me the other day with the Insta360, this one. He's got a drone apparently where you can put it in and that it makes the drone invisible. And he said that's what they are claiming. So I don't know if that's going to be something that works or not, but it could be pretty cool.
Oh, he tweeted something about that the other day, I think, didn't he? Maybe.
Yeah, you lay it in flat, and the drone is the size of the actual action camera, and apparently it cuts out the action camera, and you can just look around. So that could be pretty cool. I love those shots when you're flying the 360 camera, looking back at the drone as it's moving.
He said a little behind. What now? I'm missing all this. The chat's going crazy. I don't know what perverse thing.
Chad.
We have to throw cold water on the chat here in a second, man.
Oh yeah, it's just Nemo being a wise guy.
Oh, it's the digital versus analog thing. It never goes away.
So something that I love about doing drones is like I feel like I've built like somewhat of a reputation, and people can go back to my previous videos and they understand that I've been doing this for a while. But then when I start like eventually making FPV videos, I don't have that same tenure, I guess. Like I haven't been flying with analog. I don't know like the trials and tribulations of building, because I haven't built one yet. I'm flying this thing. So I don't know. Like I feel like I'm gonna get a little bit of some crap for it, but regardless, I think that it's something that is incredibly fun. Like it's so much more fun than flying GPS drones.
I'm glad to hear you say that. I mean, I know you really want to get past the whole adrenaline rush stage, but do you feel like this is a whole new area of the hobby for you, like a rebirth of it in a way?
It feels a lot different, but I think something that's good is that it's such a different experience from flying a GPS drone that I don't feel like I'm never going to want to fly a GPS drone again. Right. Like my main roots, I would say, are like photography and videography. And, at the end of the day, these are two different tools to get two completely different types of aerial imagery. And even like, FPV drones have just been blowing up recently, and I've seen them used in like higher end productions, which is crazy to see. Like you see them used in a lot of, like they have a place in cinematography, which really is why I'm super attracted as of recent, just because it's catching waves.
Oh yeah, definitely catching waves, especially a lot of waves today. But anyway.
That DJI would do. What I wish that DJI would do is they would create an Osmo Action specifically for DJI or specifically for FPV drones, right? So like a little session sized, because you don't need all that other crap. You don't need two screens. You don't need anything. Like if they, or even if GoPro made a camera completely dedicated to FPV, that'd be so good.
I would love that. But unfortunately, GoPro, I feel like GoPro really just doesn't care that much about FPV. Like, yeah, they'll do a video with Johnny FPV, but they've not done anything to make their camera better for FPV guys. It got heavier. They discontinued the session that we all love, and now it's $200. Those sessions, you might pay $200 or $300 for it.
They're becoming scarce in a way, right?
Yeah, I mean, DRL bought a ton of them. DRL, I know, bought a ton of them.
I'm sure that, right after they were discontinued, they were super cheap. And now that they're going to be becoming hard to find, they're going up in price.
Dude, I got mine for $80 refurbished, like 2 or 3 years ago now. To see it at $200, it's like, this is probably one of the few times that an old camera is ever going to be worth double what I paid for it 3 years ago refurbished.
Yeah, right. And think about it from the standpoint of weight. You see people like decasing their GoPros just to save some weight, which is crazy. And I mean, if they brought back that session style and if they made it specifically for drone pilots, that'd be great.
I agree.
Strap on an Osmo Pocket. I think Ken sent me a picture of that too. He created a build with a mount for the Pocket 2 on the front, and I never heard anything after that, so I'm guessing it went horribly wrong.
Yeah, we never heard Jack about it. He just put the picture up. Yeah,
I'm guessing he tried it and it didn't go so well.
Yes, most definitely.
That that DK's GoPro thing, that's awesome. But I got to tell you, I've seen a lot of dead GoPros and a lot of tears over that whole setup. It's really a shame that I think FPV is still such a small sector for GoPro that they don't care to try to deal with it. They don't want to deal with it. They don't want to make a camera that caters to that.
I understand it in a way, and because GoPro as a company is also just hurting because their cameras are I won't say that they're irrelevant, but they've definitely been hurt by the smartphone. Like, your iPhone is perfect. But, I feel like after the karma, they stopped taking risks. And I think that they should take a risk here. They should take a risk and build an FPV specific camera and see where it goes. I don't know if they have the capital to make another mistake, but I feel like it's something that they could really succeed with,
Yeah, I agree. It's tough because GoPro's, I think, a public company, isn't it? It's got investors, shareholders, all that crap. So it becomes difficult. They're not like DJI, DJI's still a private company. They can do whatever the hell they want. So a lot more room.
Okay, cool. Can me and Ron talk now?
Yeah, sure. Go ahead.
What you got to say?
Oh, nothing. That was cool. Y'all went back and forth. I can see me and Ron just kind of staring at the chat while y'all were going off about it.
You're
so
like,
have you?
When does this end?
No, not like that. That's perfectly cool because I basically knew this was going to happen. That's why I kind of said, "You and John can just talk the next time, and me and Ron will field questions from the chat," which we kind of figured was going to happen anyway. Wait a minute, Parrot EIS. No.
Let's talk about remote ID, right?
Electronic.
I said,
or anything.
Weren't we supposed to talk about remote ID or something?
Well, I'm just because it's coming. What is it? When is it? Like the 20 whatever? 20 what?
Yeah, at the end of December, they're supposed to have the final rule.
Okay, so are we going to get? So John Cuppi is saying that the FAA guy is feeding bullshit to the kids that up to 300 feet requiring. Well, I mean, forgive me, this isn't a kids channel anyway, and it's labeled so. But I'm just trying to say is like XJet brought up that particular instance in the video about where the FAA guy was talking to the children and talking about how, up to 300 feet wasn't necessarily going to require remote ID. So here's the thing. What do we think is going to happen? Because I noticed earlier Marcus was saying, with FPV, they won't need up to 100 feet. And I'm thinking, well, obviously you've not seen how many of those FPV videos contain people diving big skyscrapers.
Yeah, right.
They're like, and they're 600-700 feet tall.
So obviously, the height is what's really being talked about, between 300 and 400 feet or whatever it's going to be. And you got to wonder, what else is included in there. But, I feel like what's the difference between 100 feet? Really, 300 feet down from 400 feet? I feel like they just had to sting us somehow, is 300 feet acceptable? Yeah, and it's fine. But it's why do they have to take 100 feet away? I understand they want to better integrate drones into the airspace, and it's what? Okay, so now maybe these commercial drones and the delivery drones are going to have 300 to 400 feet or whatever it's going to be. But they had to sting us, They had to do something to just make it a little bit worse.
Sure.
He's alive. He is alive. I just want because glad to see.
No, I kind of agree with what Billy's saying. I think if they clear the 300 and 400 range out for something else,
it's got to be
something like that. That's what they're clearing us out of that airspace.
But why couldn't they just say it's 400 to 500 feet? Why couldn't they just give the delivery drones up to the 500 feet? I mean, what's wrong with us flying up to 400 feet?
Maybe they're going to specify 100.
I think the bigger question, Billy, why do they limit us to 400 feet in the first place? Since
it's true.
Commercial aircraft don't get anywhere near that low. So
yeah, right.
A lot of stuff is done that makes no sense to us. Maybe it has a technical reasons that only they understand at the FAA, but so we'll see.
I want to give a quick shout out. I want to give a
Go
quick
ahead.
shout out to Ron Lockwood. He's been recovering from the evil virus. We're glad to see you in the chat, sir. Glad to see you recovering.
Hope you're doing better.
Yep, and glad to have you here. I just wanted to. That's why I was trying to jump in a second ago. It was really cool to see you in the chat. Glad to have you here. And back to the show.
Yeah.
Here's two things. You can go, John.
Well, I was going to go back to what you were saying earlier, how you were kind of hoping that we do have to put up with these rules, will we at least get more freedom to fly, like beyond visual line of sight and all that. And I was just reading a comment from the FPV Freedom Coalition, one of the representatives, David Messina. Now he's been in Washington. He's been before the FAA to argue for FPV, for the hobbyists. And he left a comment saying from what he's been reading, and he put this up a day ago. He said he suspects that any beyond visual line of sight will require very different equipment and certifications. So in other words, beyond visual line of sight flight is going to be very, very difficult for the average recreational SUAS pilot to fly at a low cost. And that means, I'm guessing even for Part 107s, if they can even get to that, it's not going to be cheap. So, it's really unfortunate. They really are just taking things away at the very least and making things worse than they were before.
Yeah. I mean, I just think about it, the other day I was shooting a home and we were doing aerial video on it, and I was with my other buddy who, I shoot with, and I was looking at him, and I had my drone flying like 20 feet away from me and 30 feet high. And I was like shooting video, and I was like, can you believe I have to have a certification from the FAA to do this? To fly my drone under the roof of the house to get some video? I need a certification from the FAA. I've over the past couple of weeks and months, I've just grown so bitter about the FAA and the rules and the regulations, because I look at all of the safety that's been, proven time and time over again through the drone community. And it's just like, I can't believe it. And the other day I was in the middle of nowhere, and I was using my Mavic Air 2 to shoot this land that's being developed. And, I was getting the photographs all the way around, and I was like, man, I really want a top down photo. And I could have easily done it up at 1,100 to 1,200 feet, which would have been great, right? Just fly up and shoot the photo. I mean, I'm looking around, there's nobody near me. I'm in the middle of nowhere, but I went at 400 feet and took multiple photos and stitched them together in Lightroom so that I didn't have to fly up to 1,100 feet. And that comes with its benefits, because now I've got a higher resolution image and, getting into the whole photography aspect of it. But still, it's like, what's the difference between 400 and 1,100 feet? It's just, there's not a single soul around me up in the air.
Exactly.
It's tough, man. It's almost like, I was shooting a home today, and the guy was an RC pilot. He flies these huge planes. He's got them he can't even get them in his door, so he's got to take the wings off. They're huge. And I didn't really get into talking with him, but I was like, this guy must hate us, because the FAA stepped in and is regulating everything when, he's probably been doing it for years and he was totally having fun, but now he's being lumped in with us. I felt bad.
Yeah, and I feel bad for those guys too, because honestly, they didn't ask for this. They really didn't ask to have to, get swallowed up in all this, which is really unfortunate for them.
Yeah, I mean, John, the strange thing to me is it seems like the FFA is fixated on the cameras. Bill, you talked about the big RC planes. Those things traditionally didn't have cameras. They didn't seem to worry about anything without cameras. And almost all the rules, being monetized, that the put your videos on YouTube and social media, they're all worried about the cameras. If there was, all our drones did not have cameras in, it's almost like we'd be ignored.
Mm-hmm. I almost think that it comes as a result of the cameras. The result is money. It comes down to money, right? It comes down to who's making a buck off of their drone. And some I think it was Russ who tweeted out what is it called? He tweeted out 2 side-by-side screenshots. One representative saying, if you post your stuff on social media, it's not yours anymore. It's not owned by you. So therefore you need your Part 107. Could you imagine buying a Mini 2 and you buy it for your kid, and your kid is posting photos on social media, and now the kid is supposed to get the Part 107? That's That's just so obscene. And then another representative says, no, you don't need the Part 107 to post on social media. So it's just like there's such a lack of information. It's just gotten to the point where it's like it's really beating me down. It's really killing me.
Well, the rules are kept vague on purpose so they can kind of just do what they want when they want. And that first rep who said that when you post your stuff to social media, you no longer have the rights to it. That's completely false. You've given the rights to the website that you upload it to publish or display that content, but you didn't lose the rights to that content. So even when I saw that, I'm just like, okay.
Yeah, John makes a good point. If I take a cell phone picture of the Grand Canyon or whatever, and I post it to Facebook, maybe Facebook can put an ad in and monetize it somehow, but it's still my picture. If I want to sell that picture to Bill or whatever for $50, it's still my picture to sell it, even though Facebook may have monetized the version I put on Facebook. So, like I said, we're calling that a bump that they own your photo now.
Exactly, Ron. They have the rights to display the image in the manner that you uploaded it and for display on their service. You still retain the right to that photo.
They're trying to create rules that don't apply to anything else in any other business or life. Like, they're applying photography and video rules that don't apply if you're shooting these pictures or videos on the ground.
Yep, exactly. It's weird, isn't it? Like, just because my pictures came from a drone or my video came from a drone, I need to pass some sort of licensure. I need to pass some sort of, I could be fined. What other area is restricted like that? Where if you take a picture or something, it could be a problem. You need permission from some agency. It's a really good, interesting observation, Ron.
And Billy could probably tell you, most of the people get their Part 107, or at least in the beginning, they were doing what Billy's doing. They're doing real estate, they're doing, mapping, they're doing surveys, whatever. They don't plan on getting rich by posting a few pictures on social media or a few videos. That's not the path to be in what a Part 107 and how they monetize that license or whatever. Maybe a small part of it, but, people that aren't Part 107 having a couple videos or pictures on social media isn't going to take the meal money away from the Part 107 people that are really doing it for a living. Do you agree with that, Billy?
No, and I don't know. Like, I think that it's like they're trying to step in from an aviation industry part of it, right? Like, I understand all of these things they put into place for like planes, and they've just got it all wrong for drones. It needs to be seen from a totally different angle. And I think that this is just an example of how archaic the government is and how they almost work backwards. You know what I mean? Yep. I mean, the photographer that I work with used to work for the state police in New Jersey. He's like, yeah, the government is just totally out of whack. Like, everything's done so slow. Everything's done like everyone's walking backwards. And it's like the same thing as here. I mean, we're supposed to see these rules come out at the end of December. I bet you they push them back. I bet you they push back the date.
Oh, you think it's being pushed back?
They're going to delay it somehow.
You think they're going to delay it somehow? So you're saying that you don't think we will actually see the final rule come out before then?
I'm making a joke that like.
I thought you might have.
No, they're so slow.
Efficient thing there is, where do they meet deadlines on anything in any organization of the government?
They don't. They still don't even have the test done. They were supposed to have the test like a year ago. They were supposed to have the test, for obvious.
Imagine when they switched everybody over to Lank, and they're like, yeah, everybody needs to do Lank now, but oh, by the way, if you're a hobbyist, we don't yet have that ready. And they actually made their deadline by saying like summertime or whatever. They actually got really close to the deadline, like hats off to them. But it's like, why not have that in place and ready before you take that ability away from people that fly their drone as a hobby? It's just like, it's so backwards. It just doesn't make any sense.
I know. Bill actually didn't fly in his backyard until Lank was active. He actually gave up months of flying. I know, that's okay.
He's talking, he's muted.
That's okay. We don't need to hear what he's saying anyway.
Been muted for like half an hour and didn't even realize it. But you all remember that, Billy. You remember everybody's like, oh, come on, you can just fly 10 feet in your back, and I wouldn't do it. And I would not do it. And everybody was like, bust my balls over and over and over about it.
You know, like
And I just wouldn't do it.
I understand limitations on where to fly because at my dad's house, we're in an approach pattern for a very small airport, and it's really only busy during the summertime. Wintertime, it's not so busy. But these planes fly over my house at 150 feet. I totally get it. I could fly. I mean, if I was able to fly there, I could fly above where they're landing. Like that's not safe, but it's almost like they're being too precautious in certain areas that it's absolutely unnecessary. And I think people are going to be like, think that I'm so anti-FAA, but I'd be for them if they actually made sense, you know? I'm for flying safe, but I think that you can fly safe even if it's outside of the current regulations. I mean, you know, that's
you need clearance to fly the Bugs 3 in your backyard if you're in class, D airspace. There's just an absurdity about that. And
what about like the toy helicopter from Brookstone? You know, like if a kid gets that and they're flying it when I was younger, I flew it in my backyard. Was I breaking the rules? Well, then there were no rules. But if it was today, would I be breaking the rules? You know?
Yeah, technically so. Technically, you're supposed to get clearance before you fly this. There's no weight restrictions on the clearances. I mean, I don't have to register, but I'm technically supposed to get clearance for this thing. Come on.
John, don't fly that inside right now because it'll be a commercial flight. It's being broadcast on YouTube and it's advertised right now.
Yeah, the FAA can't do anything about what goes on inside my house.
Hey, John, you kind of threw that there. I could constitute that as a flight, the way he threw that across the table there.
Bill, is this monetized?
It wasn't electrified.
We're going down.
It wasn't electrified. Monetized on this channel? Come on, get real. We don't have enough view hours. Nobody watches. We got some. I got my half a cent. The taxes ate that up. Anyway, next subject.
Nemo says the FAA won't enforce much.
Oh, let's not go down that rabbit hole.
You don't have to worry about the FAA enforcing it because every drone police person online will enforce it. They got people doing their work for them for free.
I guess so.
And remember that they're only catching you from the videos you post on YouTube. So just don't post anything on YouTube where you're doing anything wrong then or whatever.
Think about it. Like anybody
people are in the field catching
anybody that's ever gotten called about it has been because of their YouTube videos, and it's been because somebody's reported them. That's how it works.
Hey Billy, is it kind of like when a policeman stops you for a traffic thing and he has to give you a ticket because he pulled you over? If somebody reports you to the FFA,
they don't have to give you a ticket.
Does that mean you have to find something, like even if it's something minor, or can they say, oh well, yeah, he didn't do anything wrong? Do they have? If somebody do they have to dig until they find something?
They have to investigate, dude.
So
they don't have to give you a ticket.
I do range tests on my channel, and they're always pre-recorded in a fashion where it looks like I'm doing it live, but I've actually already done the flight, and it just makes things so much easier because I do have 3 or 4 people that I use when I do these range tests positioned along the bridges that I fly down the water right there on the Schuylkill River. And so I got called about it, and that's what I explained to them, and they're like, oh, okay, that's fine. And then we hung up. But that's the one call that I've ever had to the FAA, and they had like 3 or 4 guys on the other line, like pressuring me, right? And I'm just like, guys, it's not that serious. Like, you're taking 3 to 4 representatives in the Philadelphia office or wherever they're located to speak with me, and just like, no, So I don't know. It's like they called me and they were investigating, and there was nothing to charge me for or nothing to fine me for. So they just said, okay, have a nice day. And they went the other way. And it's like when I got pulled over the other day, because I was driving through a little town and I was going a little too fast, and the officer pulled me over. I said, sorry, I'm not from this town. He said, that's okay. And they let me go without a ticket. So I think that they just have to stop you. They got to let you know that they're watching, and they got to let you know that they can do something if they want to. And if there's a reason to do something, but they don't have to issue a fine. It's just, if it's blatant that you're doing something wrong.
Yeah, that's good to know, Billy. That's good.
So if you do something wrong repeatedly, they might get pissed off.
Mm-hmm. I think I think range test videos are incredibly important, especially like Mavic Air 2 to Mavic 2 Pro, not that important. But like when you have a generational upgrade from like Lightbridge 1 to Lightbridge 2, OcuSync 1 to OcuSync 2, Wi-Fi to OcuSync 2, like when you have these changes, I think it's really important to do a range test to really understand it. And I think that my method for doing a range test now because it's so important, is buzzing down the beach, a little bit over the water, and have people stationed along the beach. That's just going to be how I'm going to do it from now on, because I don't know. I think that's going to be the best and safest way to do it. What do you guys think about range tests? Do you guys think they're important?
I think they're important for you to get a lot of views on YouTube, but no. For me, I don't make my drone purchase on the fact that it can, go, a little bit farther than the one I had before, But I'm more concerned how strong the signal is in the range I usually fly in. I want that rock solid FPV connection. Whether it goes 3 or 4 miles, it really doesn't mean much to me. I usually get as close to the location that I want to fly at as possible before I take off.
But Ron, the range tests are a good baseline to see just what kind of power you're getting out of the video unit. I mean, it's if I see that somebody can go X amount of feet line of sight and there's nothing around them, that tells me, all right, so if they can only go 500 feet and they're literally out in the middle of nowhere, okay, then what am I going to get? Or let's even say 2,000 feet or 1,000 feet. What am I going to get when I'm not in the middle of nowhere? Maybe I've got some stuff around me. The objects in the area are going to affect your range. It's going to affect what you can expect to get from the drone. So the range tests are like a baseline or like a baseline environment that you can use to kind of judge the power that you're getting from the drone.
And John, that was more important. I think what you're saying was more important a few years back, where nowadays almost every drone is good. There's not as much, there's not much worry as there used to be. Well, the toy grade drones there still is, of course, but at the high level, they're kind of all good now.
I want to say hi to Ethan real quick.
Yeah,
Ethan just came in.
Hey guys, how's it going?
Add to the FPV conversation.
I think that with these drones, like, I don't think I need any more than 10 kilometers, whatever that is, like 6.28 miles. I think that's fine. Just cap out at that and try to like increase the resolution or something like that. Like if they could somehow get a 4K downlink, which God, that'd be a ton of power. But if they could get a 4K downlink, if they could do something at a higher frame rate, I mean that's kind of the direction I see things going. Just making that signal more reliable over the 10 kilometers already built into it. Because I think that once you're pushing like 10 kilometers with these drones, you're probably going to want an LTE connection, inevitably on the drone if you're going to be flying any further. If you're doing some beyond visual line of sight flying, like these Amazon delivery drones, they're going to be running off of some sort of cellular connection. They're not going to be responding to an antenna at the home base.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So at that point, range doesn't matter. It just matters where you have connection. And I know for me with Verizon, I drop out of cell service all the time. So hopefully they can make something a little more reliable than what Verizon can. Ron, I swear, whenever I go over to Jersey, Verizon just.
I've never been a Verizon customer. I was on AT&T for years. I switched to T-Mobile a couple years back. I've never been a Verizon customer.
You're lucky.
Xfinity Mobile.
How is it?
I love it, man. It was really, really shitty when it first came out. I mean, it was terrible. And then it took about 1.5 years of sticking with them, but now it's awesome. I mean, we hook up to everything.
I had Google Fi for a short period on one of my Pixel phones, and I liked that too. It's pretty good.
So as far as range tests, were you guys talking about FPV drones or like the camera drones?
I think I was more relating to camera drones, just because they're the ones that have the more power, and I feel like those are the drones that people just want to fly forever. But I think that range test videos are important if they're done correctly in order to establish that strength, the signal strength, and understand when it drops off.
Well, I do know that when I first got the Mavic 2 was the first drone that I had that had the AccuSync 2 in it, and the first thing I noticed right off the bat was the reliability, and it gave me that confidence that you could just really go out there. And I did notice right off the bat, like around buildings, and there was a wedding I was doing, and I was flying it from inside a metal building, and it was doing just fine, no problem. So,
when it's cold out, I fly from my car. I'll park down the street, and I'll park down the street, look out my windshield, and fly from my car just to stay warm. And there's no signal breakup, even when I'm flying with 10 or 20 guys, and we're all flying AccuSync 2 drones. it cuts right through all the interference. It's great. Although Eddie Nunez has got a antenna monitor smart controller, it kills everything. He turns his controller on, everybody disconnects.
Damn. I do that with FPV back here in Maryland when it gets cold. I got so with Crossfire and the DJI setup, I fly from inside the car too when it's cold out.
Mm-hmm. It's great. It's so nice.
Oh yeah, it's nice not have to worry about fail safes or anything like that. So how's your journey with FPV going?
Well, I was talking to them. I haven't built my quad yet, but I've been flying this little thing, which John has identified as the Beetle 2 or something.
The Transtech Beetle. Yep.
Yeah, I've been banging around with this thing. I probably got to get on a simulator, but it's just different. And I think the biggest thing that I'm experiencing right now, like I can get up there, I can do flips, I can dive around, I can move around pretty well. Like I've got good control of the sticks, and I don't get too disoriented in the goggles or anything like that. But the one thing I can't figure out for the life of me is when I throttle up, how can I come back down? Which I know John was like, you can dive down. And when I dive down and I come back up, I feel like I'm going right back up. So I just have to learn that throttle pitch management, you know?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Always stay moving forward. Even when you're coming down, keep moving forward.
A lot of the video that I have, a lot of the video I have right now is like really high up over trees. I'm like, I want to get down on the trees.
That's normal. I think everybody starts out like that.
Yeah, but it feels good because I haven't crashed yet just because I'm staying up so high. So,
right.
You know, that feels good. The landing is different. You know, the little boop, when you come down, you just disarm the motors and drop.
Yeah.
What do you guys so I use DJI's remote, their stock remote, which looks like the Inspire remote. And I use the Inspire too. So I like that remote. It feels a lot lighter. So they've probably don't have much components in there or whatever. But what do you guys think in terms of RCs? What are you using? Currently I'm using a Tyrannus, which is probably about the same size as one of those DJI remotes. But I also have a Tango 2, and it had a problem with it since I got it. So TBS is actually sending me a new board for it. But I have noticed that takes some getting used to. The throws on the sticks are much shorter than they are in my Tyrannus. Mm-hmm. So I've had to change the rates on the one. I only got one quad bound to it right now, just because it goes, I can fly out about 50 feet and then it drops out of the air just because there's a problem with the board. But I've noticed right off the bat, I've had to change my rates because the throws on the sticks are completely different. So gotcha. I want to get used to it. And I want to like it just because it's so easy to, carry around. But so we'll see what happens once I get this new board. So
Ethan's being very kind about his Tango 2 issues. He's told me it's been rough. Look, let me just say it, unfortunately, with his Tango 2. But I have a Tango and I have had no problems. Mine is great. I love it. I actually ordered a new board to put in it just so I can get the maximum output power. So I'm going to be doing that board switch soon, Ethan. But I love my Tango 2. It's been great. No problems at all.
When Ken came up last time, he was flying a lot of FPV, and I was still just flying my Mavic Air 2. And he had, I think, the Tyrannus. He had a bigger controller, and then he picked up the Tango 2 afterwards because I can't travel with this thing. I got to have something smaller. So he was showing me that, and it does look pretty cool. But for me, I have just such a baseline understanding of it right now that I wouldn't know the difference between the two. So what I'm flying right now feels great, but I wouldn't know it even to compare it to. So I'm just, I'm rocking with what I got.
Actually, I heard Ken switched full time to the Tango 2 recently. He's stopping flying with a whole bunch of different radios. And honestly, if you're comfortable with the DJI radio, just stick with it. The only problem you're going to have is you can only fly something with the air unit in it, which might leave you out of some of the smaller stuff.
Mm-hmm. And so as somebody who is just starting FPV right now, I don't think I'm ever going to mess with analog. I don't think I'm ever going to mess with that transition. Look, I understand there's a benefit between the two, right? It's not all good with digital because you do have the latency issue, but I feel like as technology progresses, it's just going to continue to get better and better and better. Digital is still so new. And I figure, rather than get into it, start on analog and then move to digital, just jump right into digital and not have to upgrade my stuff down the line.
My thing with the whole latency thing, I would say unless you're a professional racer, you'll never know the difference. Yeah, it's true. And the fact that the DJI system, the clarity on it is so good, it actually makes you a way better pilot just because you can actually see what you're doing. So I've been using the DJI system for the past, I guess it's been a year now. And probably about 2 months ago, I built an analog quad just because I still have my Fat Sharks, but all my quads are digital. So I built an analog one just to kind of like refresh my memory to what it was like. And I took it out to fly, and I kid you not, I could barely even keep it in the air just because I was like, I cannot see anything.
Wow.
Just because you're so used to you get used to the digital stuff, and
it's like you're spoiled,
like,
you know?
Oh yeah. I sat there and I was talking to John. I was like, I don't even know how I learned to fly on this because I feel like I can't see anything.
This is just like
you were asking me, how the hell do I fly this? How the hell do I see?
And we got a friend, Nemo, that won't convert from analog for nothing, you know, and it's really unreal.
I mean, if they could make a set of goggles or the size of the Fat Sharks, that'd be awesome. But I don't see that happening anytime soon.
I've never had a latency issue in regards to like even flying my Mavics. Like I take those suckers and I try to put them through really tight scenarios. I mean, I fly crazy with those things, and latency has never been an issue for me. So I can't imagine that, the trade-offs of going to analog just for a little bit of latency is really even all that important.
Well, and I've also noticed with my Mavic 2, and this is what I do if I'm flying fast or proximity stuff with my Mavic. I will go into the downlink and I will change it to the 5 gigs and put it on like a 7 or the low low quality mode, just so I can make sure it's a faster latency. Because I do know there has been some times where I've had it in like the HD setting, and I've seen it skip just when I'm flying real fast close to stuff. So if I know that's kind of shot I'm going to get, I'll click it over to that mode, and it's like instant.
Regardless, I was talking about how these future transmission systems should focus on clarity and should focus on resolution and stuff like that. But like 720p is great. Like I don't even think that I need any more than that. I mean, we're flying on a smaller screen. How much resolution is that really going to impact? I mean, the only thing that I could see that really being used for is like a commercial situation where you're doing search and rescue and you want a crystal clear downlink to display up on a monitor for other people to see. Like that would be huge. But just for everyday stuff, 720p is fine.
Oh yeah. I think if they could get HD, or if you're talking the FPV stuff, they could get the HD out. That would be awesome. Or if they could get you just that 4K onboard, like stabilized recording, so you don't have to carry a GoPro, that would be awesome.
We were talking about GoPros and how heavy they are. I mean, could you imagine with DJI, or even if GoPro, if they came out with a specific FPV camera, like a session size? It'd be great. Oh yeah, they would. I mean, they would sell the crap out of them. Yeah, and, I know.
But GoPro. John and I were talking about this earlier today. I don't foresee GoPro doing anything like that, unfortunately. I think DJI, we'll see what happens with their FPV drone, but I think they're going to start giving us FPV drones that are just like their camera drones that have the good camera already built into it.
Yeah, like we were talking about, imagine if there was an air unit that had 4K at 60, it could record it on board, or 4K 24 and stabilized. And it gave you that, it could even give you that super view kind of look on your recorded footage. People would be all over that. You'd never have to run a GoPro again. You would never have to run a GoPro.
You think about how backwards it feels to put 2 cameras on a drone.
Well, the way they got it set up right now with a regular air unit, they've got where the downlink with the single camera is 720 to your goggles, but it can record 1080 60 on board. So I think they could take that a step further.
Yeah, I think it's pretty interesting that they were able to cram a little SD card into this air unit. I'm not familiar with other air units, but they did a good job.
So the Vista is smaller, about half the size of that, and it doesn't take an SD card.
Gotcha.
But as far as that, everything else is the same power, same signal. You can use your transmitter.
I think it's so cool. I think it's so cool how you can record through the goggles. Being able to record that DVR footage, like I think that's so cool. Can you? I've been digging through menus and stuff on the goggles. Is there a way to record like your telemetry on top of that too, or no?
So when you're recording to the goggles DVR, it records the DJI telemetry as a subtitle file. So if you pull the SD card out of your goggles and you look at what the files that are on there, it'll be like an SVT file, something like that,
Okay.
alongside your video file, and then you have to use like one of the other editors to basically overlay that onto your video.
A YouTuber named Gal Kramer put a video up, I think this week, how to get DJI OSD elements onto your DVR footage from your goggles. He pretty much lined out exactly how to do it. So
what was his name? I'm gonna look that up.
Gal Kramer, Gal Kramer, Kramer. He did a great
Kramer.
Yeah, he did a great video on how to do that because there's no way otherwise to do it.
It won't have your like Betaflight telemetry, but it'll have the DJI goggle stuff.
Right, which gives you like your GPS and all this other crap.
I found the video. I'm going to take a look at that later. The goggles are really nice, though. I mean, like the fan built in and everything. It's so cool. I remember. Go ahead.
Go ahead.
No, I got my first
have
dose
you ever
of it.
tried? Here. Go ahead, Bill.
I got my first dose of it when Ken came up and flew, and he turned it on, and I was like, "Whoa, that's cool." So then I started looking through his goggles. I'm like, "Man, these things are like cool." Is that something all FPV goggles do? They have little fans in there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay. Just make a big deal out of nothing.
Brands that you start out with.
I will admit though the DJI fan is a lot more prominent than the Fat Shark fan. I mean, the Fat Shark fan, and the Fat Shark fan. The other thing is you have to press the button manually to run the fan. Ethan's laughing because it's absurd. Like if you want to defog your goggles, no, you have to press it, and then the fan runs for a little while, and then you have to press it again. Like it doesn't constantly run. You have to press a button, and then it runs for a little bit.
Here's what I find absurd. Here's what I find absurd. Why did they not build the battery into the goggles?
Weight on your head. That's the reason why. It would make it feel significantly heavier.
Yeah, Fat Shark.
As someone who always hated having the Fat Shark goggle battery on the side of their head, I loved it when someone finally made a cable that I could have the battery in my pocket because
that's nice.
It feels awful to have a battery hanging off the side of your head.
That's what I do. I've got it like looped down and I put it in my sweatshirt pocket. I just find it so counterintuitive. I'm like, why can't they just put the battery in the thing?
Yeah. I mean, it sounds great in theory, but then when you're actually wearing that battery on your head, I don't know how you do that.
Okay.
I don't know.
So why? I mean, maybe it's with your current band, but even if you counteract the weight by putting it on the back, so now you've got some on your front, some on your back, and it feels like it's evenly proportioned. You know?
I think they make some like Oculus goggles that are like that.
Okay, and since Ethan, you're in here now, Billy asked this question earlier. What is the best action camera for FPV?
What do you find yourself using most?
I would say right now the Insta360.
With the 1R attachment, the 1-inch mod.
So I go back and forth between the 1-inch, the 1-inch and the 360 camera.
I told you.
I've got.
Yeah, I know he did say that. Now, when you're flying, do you take on the 1-inch mod? Do you take that glass element off the front?
No.
You keep that on?
No, I keep it on there. Mm-hmm.
Just
an extra layer of protection.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. If I crash, I'd rather that break than the actual lens. So.
It's true. I was just wondering from a weight perspective if you took it off. I know that Ken just recently started flying with it, and I remember once Insta360 came out with that, I was like, yeah, this is going to be a perfect like FPV drone. But then if you think about it, I don't have the 360 mod on here. I have the 360 mod on here right now. But could you imagine? I mean, everything you need for the camera is housed right here. You could take the core and you could take the battery off and just plug it right into the drone and save so much weight.
Oh yeah.
They're the ones that are closest to making a true FPV camera drone. If you think about it, we didn't even mention them. We talked about GoPro and DJI, but Insta360 very well could, and they've shown signs of that with the little Insta360 Go.
The Go. That's right. Yep, and that's a very popular camera for FPV right now, especially in the micros.
I heard this at CES that Insta360 was started by some ex-DJI employees. So, they could be working together to do something pretty interesting like that. I mean, that would be pretty cool.
I personally would like to see, and I think Insta360 or DJI may be the first ones to do it, but I'd like to see them take, so they got the 1-inch mod with the 1-inch sensor in it. if the brain portion of the camera doesn't have the power to do like 10-bit, HEVC, colors, whatnot, maybe they could just upgrade the brain. You know what I mean?
Absolutely,
So
yeah.
you could just buy that section if you wanted to step up to like a more professional kind of colors and everything.
Yeah,
I think DJI might do it with the Osmo Action 2. I don't know. It's hard to say.
I bet you they dropped the Osmo name.
Oh yeah.
I'm sure. So when did the Osmo Action came out? When did that come out? That came out in like the fall, right?
Yeah, I think so. Oh yeah,
May,
no,
it
you're
came out in
right.
spring. Yeah, I would.
Yeah.
I think that makes sense if they. So I could see them doing something like that in the beginning of 2021 for summertime launch because people want to use them in the summer.
Yep. I'm just curious. I've been doing a lot of HDR work, and so I've been dabbling with HDR video for the past year with the Mavic, and now that Apple's come out with the 12 that's got Dolby Vision on it, which is HDR 10-bit, and all of our a lot of our DSLR cameras can do it now. The only thing that we're missing is really action cameras, and I'm just curious when that's going to happen, because right now for me, if I want to fly HDR FPV, I'm going to have to strap the iPhone 12 to it.
Yeah. Well, hey, it's got that ceramic coating or whatever, so it probably can take a beating, right?
All right. Well, I'm designing a TPU case to print out to put it.
We should have known, man.
All right. I already got I got the Moment anamorphic lens coming for it. Yeah, all that stuff.
That'd be pretty.
Wow,
badass.
it is going to be nice. I gotta wait. I have to wait. I have to wait until Xfinity actually has in-store stock, because I have to take this one, trade it in. If I was to do it, I would have to give it to them and then wait 2 weeks for it to be delivered. But once they have in-store stock, I can just say, "Here's my phone." They'll switch everything over. When people are talking about upgrading their iPhones, I just don't have a clue why nobody just goes directly to Apple. They are so easy to deal with. Getting the iPhone with the Apple upgrade program, it's so good. I went there and they let me keep my phone after I got the old phone to transfer my data. They say, "Yeah, bring it in like 2 weeks." And I just brought it, like a couple days later, and it was like, just close out the loan, done. It's so easy, it shouldn't even be illegal.
I'm in the upgrade program too, Bill. I don't even go to the store. I just, they just put the whole one in the box.
It's
well,
great.
I mean,
nice.
with Xfinity, like when I got my wife's Apple Watch, I just jumped on the online, typed it in, and it was here like 3 days later. But right now this phone is so huge, and everybody's wanting it. It's actually back ordered. So,
and you think about distribution issues right now with COVID. So I mean, obviously, that's gonna slow things down. That's probably why the Max came out later. The Max and the Mini. They probably prioritized iPhone 12 and iPhone 12 Pro because they knew that was gonna probably sell the most.
I don't know, man. I think the Pro Max is just loaded for bear.
It really is. But I think even I had the iPhone 11 Pro Max and I got the 12 Pro Max, and I noticed it was a little bit bigger. And some people just don't want that big of a phone,
Yeah. And for anybody that still has the 10 or the 11 Pro, there is a app that will record in 10-bit HLG HDR. It's called a 4K. It's a 4K recorder. And I think it costs like $3, but yeah, it'll do it. And I've tried it, and it worked. Oh yeah, if the image quality comes out of that app is gorgeous.
I wish, this is totally unrelated, but I wish that they'd come out with an upgrade program for the watch. If they're going to upgrade this thing every single year, just like the iPhone, why not come out with an upgrade program for it?
Yeah, that'd be nice.
Sure, yeah.
Little me just sitting here with the iPhone 8 Plus. But you know what? I own my phone. I haven't had I never have a phone payment. I just buy the phone, and I typically go to Swappa. So I buy somebody's used phone that's they've already lost $100 or so on it, and I'll keep this for 3 to 5 years, and then I'll get whatever. So
that's hilarious, though. The way everybody reacted, it was like a vampire seeing you sunlight. Oh,
no. The reason I always upgrade is because of those cameras. They're always pushing the boundary for shooting video, and I use I do videography, I do real estate and stuff. I use my phone camera sometimes. If nobody's looking, I'll use my phone and nobody will tell. So I'm always getting the new iPhone just because they're pushing the boundaries with the video capabilities. And the iPhone 12 Pro Max, I mean, I thought it was crazy with the iPhone 11 Pro Max, and now it's with the 12 Pro Max, they're really catering towards that pro audience. I mean, they kind of throw the word pro around like anybody can be a pro, but they really tailored this to somebody that wants a pro. What did that comment say? Billy upgrade something?
He said, "Do you upgrade at the Apple Store?" And I was simply just going to say, you said that you don't always even go to the store; you just do it online too.
Yeah, I usually go through the process of ordering it online, and this year I picked it up from the store. I don't remember why, but you can also just get it delivered to your house. It's one or the other. I think it was like the same delivery time.
Well, I like Xfinity. That's they're so far they've done me right. So I'm
that's
cool
good.
with
Yeah,
that.
that's good. I picked up the totally unrelated. I picked up the HomePod Mini today. Pretty good.
Oh,
So
okay.
I just
At $99
posted
mini, right.
Yeah.
Much cheaper than the original.
What's this? The fake news guy?
I just always bust his chops. I just call him the fake drone news. I'm just being funny.
He's on the Micro Drone Board of Directors. What are you talking about?
right. So anybody that's interested in doing HDR content through Final Cut and posting up to YouTube, I just put out a video yesterday about how to do that, and it also applies to the Mavic 2 Pro also. So I posted a link in the chat if anyone wants to check it out. It's actually an HDR clip that I posted in YouTube that is HDR of the Mavic 2 Pro, and it actually so you can just tell the color difference shooting in HDR versus like regular.
So Ethan, what is your workflow for this?
So if I'm shooting on the Mavic 2 Pro, I'm going to be shooting in D-Log. You can use HLG, but I feel like I'm getting better colors from D-Log.
You switched on me.
I did. But so in the Final Cut, you open a new library, you create a new library, then you got to switch it over to wide gamut color profile. And then
Not Rec 709?
Not Rec 709. Yep. You need to. Well, the library itself, you need to click into the inspector and click modify and then switch it to wide gamut instead of standard.
Okay.
And then when you start a new project, it'll give you the HDR options in the color space.
Gotcha.
And for like the new Dolby stuff, you want to pick Rec 2020 HLG.
Okay.
So you have an HLG project that's in the HLG color space. Mm-hmm. And you're going to take that D-Log footage, drop it into your timeline, and then you're going to go over to the inspector and do color space override HLG.
Okay.
And that'll convert the colors over to the HLG format, and then you can tweak your colors the same way. The nice thing about working in the HLG profile is it's almost identical to standard definition because your nit value goes from 0 to 100, just like it does with regular standard definition. Mm-hmm. So you color grade the same way.
Are you using Color Finale by chance?
No, I used it for a while and I didn't really care for it.
So I like that it has a little bit easier control over the colors, but I noticed that it kind of kills the video quality. Like I feel like it almost degrades the video quality in a way. I'm not sure how to explain it, but when I start pushing it too far, the video just totally wonks out. So I bought the new M1 MacBook Pro, and Color Finale isn't supported. So I've been learning on Final Cut Pro's built-in color grading software and color grading options, and they work really well. I'm surprised.
Yeah, I've been so recently probably past 3 months, I've really started using the color mask in the wheels. Like I'll do a color mask just for the shadows, or I'll do a color mask just for and I'll do a bunch of color masks and tweak those, and the quality that I'm getting using those are awesome. The main reason I quit using Color Finale is that I started doing a lot of like HDR content, and when I made my own LUTs for the HDR stuff, when I would reload them in, it'd pull everything down to like 50 nits. And wow. I couldn't change it. It wouldn't let me like bump them back up. And I contacted them about that. I was like, can you give me like an HDR setting or something? And they basically just wrote me off, and they're like, our product is fine the way it is. I was like, well, it's clearly not working. Because when I explained to them what is happening, they basically were like, well, you're doing something wrong.
Gentlemen, I'd like to just jump in for a quick second here. Ron needs to jump off now, so I was going to let him say his good evenings real quick so that we could continue, or whatever anybody wanted to do. I can see Billy's yawning, so I don't know if he wants to keep it rolling or what. But
I'll be good for about 15 minutes.
All right. I'm going to let Ron say everybody's good evening.
Thank you, Bill. I want to thank everybody that joined us in the chat tonight. We good group in here. And I want to, give a special shout out to Ray Kelly, Matt Cunoff, and that bunch are going out on a little drone adventure tomorrow in Florida. I believe it's Jensen Beach. So you guys have a good time. I want to thank Billy Kyle for dropping by tonight and talking, FPV and FAA rules and regulations. And it's good to see Ethan back on the show tonight. I know he's taking a little time off. He's in Maryland now. So thank you, Ethan. John, of course, a regular co-host here. Always good to see you. And Bill, thanks for another great show tonight and have me on. And I will see you guys next week.
See you, Ron.
You take care, Ron.
See you, buddy.
Thank you, Ron. Thank you, Ron. Hey, looky here. Here's a crazy man.
Hey,
What's
Ken.
going on? We're talking FPVers.
Yep.
And
I
Wheat
cannot
Bladder's
wait
an old
until I get
man.
a decent camera on an FPV drone. I really can't.
Like a mirrorless camera?
Well, I've actually built a drone big enough to carry my my Fuji camera, but I'm scared to death to fly it because that would probably be $3,000 going up if I crash it, including the lens. So I'm scared. And, I don't do productions that are like warrant that. I just kind of built it just to see if I could. And I've actually flown it like just once real gingerly. And I was shaking it's twitchy because my hands are shaking the whole time because I'm scared to death. And so I flew it around a little bit all over grass and I was just like, okay, we're done. But it works. It works, but I'm scared to death to fly it.
Probably be the same way.
I'd rather fly the iPhone knowing that, I can, protect that a little bit better.
Yeah. Well, hey, dude, an iPhone is great. I mean, the footage that comes off that thing is spectacular.
Oh my God, yeah. It's somebody. I think John was just asked me today, or Ron asked me in YouTube if I thought the iPhone was better than a GoPro 9, and I was like, no. He was asking me about the Mavic, and I was just like, yeah, I think it is better, but it's a little different because it's different lenses. So, the Mavic, something up high like a drone, it's got, just don't get the detail that you get like on the ground. But
it's so true.
Curious to see how it flies.
So I have a weird question, actually, while we're on the iPhone video subject. Is there a way to get an external microphone to work on this damn thing?
Yes.
There is. So you can actually get like an actual real external microphone, not something from Apple or whatever.
Yeah, I've used the Rode Wireless Go with it in the past.
Oh, okay.
So yeah, you can. I think you need like a specific end to go into the iPhone with a specific amount of like black bands that go around. So I would double check.
Gotcha.
Yeah, they make a what is it, 3.5 millimeter jack on microphones. You need the one that hooks up to a cell phone. I think it's got four notches on it, and then you need the iPhone adapter.
Gotcha.
But yeah, it'll work.
And it actually will pick it all up. Cool.
And Dolby actually makes an audio app that will do the noise reduction and all this stuff right in the app for you, so you don't have to do any of that stuff in Audacity or in Final Cut.
Ken, that's good to hear about Kelly, by the way. Kelly was very sick.
Yeah, Kelly and Ron
had
shared. Yeah, they both had that virus and they're coming back. And Ken said that he's going to be on for a little while tomorrow night. He's doing much better, and that's cool. We're glad to know about that.
I didn't even know that he had it. That's a shame.
Yeah, he brought it up like a week or two ago. I think?
Yeah. On the show, he couldn't be on that day because of it. It was not good. But no, I film all of my stuff on the bench with this phone, and what I do for the audio right now is something ridiculous. I get the audio from the Osmo because my microphone, I bought it for the GoPro, so I just retrofit it to the Osmo. I splice the audio in. It's
sync it up in post.
Yeah, it's so stupid to have to do that. So I was just thinking today it would be great to get external mic from the phone.
Well, so that's the question I got for you guys. For Billy, actually, do you for your audio, do you record to an external recorder and sync it up in post, or do you go right to the camera?
I've got a big shotgun mic with an XLR mic. So when I'm in here, like shooting my videos, I've got the Zoom H6 recorder. But then when I'm on the go and I'm shooting like outside, I'll just record right into the camera.
Nice.
What about you?
I've been dabbling back. So I've always, in the past, I always had an external recorder, a Zoom H1, and and I have a shotgun mic. It's back in California right now, but I have a shotgun mic, one of the Rhodes, and going through the XLR little box, and then goes into that. But I had the Rode wireless mics go into my external recorder going outside too. But just recently, I started having the Rode wireless go right to the camera, and because it sounds pretty good.
What camera?
It's a Fuji X-T4.
Okay, yeah. I mean, I think it sounds fine. I think the only reason why I might want a secondary recorder is for maybe some potential redundancy built in potentially. But I think for me, when I'm recording straight in with the Rode Wireless Go, it works well.
Yeah, it's definitely made the workflow so much easier, not having to sync it up. But it's not really that much more work, but when you're trying to go fast, it is.
Well, do you know how to synchronize the clips automatically, right?
Just highlight both of them, right click, and synchronize.
Yeah, I mean that's sped up my workflow a lot. So I've still got base audio recording on my camera when I'm shooting here for my videos, but I'll just click both clips, right click, combine them, synchronize them, and then they'll just spit out one video file with the good audio. So that's my workflo.
Nice. Oh wow, I'm still doing the 3, 2, 1, go. I'm still doing that.
Yeah. Do you use any external plugins for like a noise reduction or anything like that?
No, I don't. I've just been using this preset that I built a little while ago for my camera, and literally every video I just slap that preset on because it's a controlled environment down here. I do a little bit of tweaking with the EQ when I'm shooting in different locations outside, but no, I haven't messed with any others. Gotcha.
That's probably been the bane of my YouTube career, is getting my audio to sound right.
Audio. It's tough. It's really not easy.
Yeah. I feel like I've gotten pretty decent at color grading just because I think I enjoy it. But and I can see the results, But with audio, I feel like if you're a different set of headphones, it'll sound different. It's tough.
It's totally true.
Very cool, very cool. And Ken's giving us a little bit of advice. Always use an external recorder. If the video file corrupts, you've lost both audio and video.
No, nice.
So, okay, kind of cool. Well, it looks like everybody's kind of extinguished themselves. I can see us all kind of in a relaxed state, which is very cool because we're kind of in that area where we're winding down to say good evening to everyone. And we're at that point of the night where we can all say goodbye and wish and dream of new drones and new cameras and new technology before Christmas. So with that being said, I'm going to pass it around the room for the gentlemen to say their good evenings. And since Ethan has been busy trying to take care of lives and everything and jump in tonight, and it's the last moment to help us out with this, I'm going to let Ethan say his good evenings first.
Well, it was great to see everybody again tonight. Glad I finally got some time off to come back to Maryland and also hang out with you guys. And always great to see Billy and chat with him. Glad to see everybody in the chat. Hope everybody had a good Thanksgiving and going to have a good and safe, healthy Christmas. And it's good seeing John and Bill and Ron. And with that, I'll throw it over back to Bill.
Cool. And I'm going to thank our guests for coming in tonight. And I'm going to let him say his. What? You were going to say what?
Well, I'll go into it. I got to thank you guys because, you guys are giving me a lot of knowledge with FPV, and it's overwhelming to say the least. I mean, I talk to Ken about, like these different rates and different motors and KV and 6S and 4S and beta flight and all this stuff. And I'm just like, so I got to thank you guys for helping me because you guys are really the ones that pushed me to do something else other than the GPS drone. So thank you for that.
Cool. And then Mr. John Cuppi.
Well, thank you, Bill. Billy, it was awesome having you on the show. It's always a great chat. I'm so glad you're getting into FPV. So, yes.
If only we still lived in Jersey, we could fly.
Yeah, I know, right? Now I'm way far away from Jersey, about over 1,000 miles away. Well, maybe you get here by FPV drone sometime.
Yeah,
right? But then again, that goes back to those long range flights. Don't know if we could do those.
I know we'd have to apply for a waiver.
We do. We have to get a waiver. But anyway, Ethan, it was really good to see you come out tonight. Good to see everybody too in the chat. I hope all you all had a good, happy, healthy Thanksgiving. Same sentiment there, and as we go into the holidays as well, best wishes.
Very cool. And as usual, I'm glad to have each and every one of you here this week. I'm glad to have all of you here. I consider all of you great friends. I'm glad to share time and talk about things, and I hope everybody has a wonderful holiday. And I'm going to give an announcement again right now. Next week, Geeks Vana on the show, and then the week after that, we will have our final Support Your Local Drone Channel season-ending episode right before Christmas time. So please come watch us for the next 2 weeks as those big events are coming up. With that being said, live long and prosper.